General aspects of UK customs border controls. Hello and welcome to another Tools Club video. Recorded March 2021. And we're here. General aspects of UK customs border controls. And this video is a sort of prelude to these 8 videos that follow. And all of these subsequent vids focus solely on SPS controls. As an aside, if you don't know what SPS goods are, then I explained what is meant by SPS goods in a previous Tools Club video called Conventions and Controls. In any case, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend you get a coffee or tea, biscuits or some nice cake perhaps, and watch that video. Watch it all. Because it is jam-packed with other interesting info too, such as an exploration of the relationship between EU directives, harmonized standards, and marketing surveillance, and more. Much more. Yes. Scary terminology indeed, but all given easy-to-follow explanations. And all for beginners. Simply plug your ears in and watch. And you can get fast access to the Conventions and Controls video simply by clicking the More Info icon at the top corner of the screen, and then by clicking on an icon that appears. This opens a Tools Club playlist. And these videos in this playlist explore conventions, controls, as well as the approach that the UK government took to get ready for the 2021 UK border. Fab. Ah yes. Don't forget, Tools Club videos move at a steady pace. So, it's very important to pause and read any text shown as and when you like. But also, you might be interested to know that Tools Club videos are available with or without background music too. Check out the video descriptions for more info. And all Tools Club videos have captions too. And that's great. Back to these 8 videos here. And these videos also provide easy to follow explanations for different SPS controls, what they do, when they came into force, and what you need to do over the first half of 2021. And that's nice too. But what can you expect now in this particular video? Well, some notes on other general aspects of the UK customs border. Okay, great. I don't cover every single aspect. But here is a list of topics to expect. And how long do I spend on each item? Not long. A moment or 2, maybe 3. My aim in this video is only to provide some cursory notes on each of these as background before starting a more detailed exploration of SPS controls in the 8 videos that follow. Okay. Let's go right ahead and open the UK border operating model. Take note if you want to download your own copy. And searching for gov.uk/transition. Scroll down to Announcements. Government publishes updated GB/EU border operating model. Click that. And we see News story. Government publishes updated GB/EU border operating model. Fab. Scroll down to the bottom. The updated border operating model can be found by clicking here. And on this policy paper, the border operating model. And we see our PDF icon. The border with the European Union, importing and exporting goods. Great. Open that. And whilst we're waiting, topics in this video are taken from this UK border operating model. And as we will see, we are on the December 2020 PDF version. And this entire PDF was designed to help traders better prepare for the end of the UK transition period at the start of 2021. Okay. To continue this introduction, let's search for page 8. So, why did the UK government adopt a staged approach to the 2021 UK border, and what was this approach? Okay, great, we'll start with the why bit first. And we see, recognizing the impact of coronavirus on businesses' ability to prepare, the UK government has taken the decision to introduce the new border controls in 3 stages. This flexible and pragmatic approach aims to give industry extra time to make necessary arrangements. To answer the question, what was this approach? Well, the short answer is that this entire UK border operating model PDF details the staged approach adopted by the UK government in relation to controls released at the UK border. In this video, we will explore just some of those aspects before looking at UK SPS controls in the following videos. So, when do these stages take effect? Start dates are as follows. The first stage starts from January 2021. The second stage starts from April 2021. And the third stage starts from July 2021. So, as we saw, details in this copy were published in December 2020. They cover both imports and exports. This entire UK border model, this PDF file, provides the details of the staged approach the UK took to administer its customs border with respect to trade with the EU, post-transition. Tell me more. Generally, these stages are cumulative, but where applicable, the rules of each new stage modify equivalent rules from previous stages. But if you have any questions, I'll show the HMRC Imports and Exports General Enquiries page at the end, just in case. And scrolling down a bit. It's worth noting that this model does not cover matters specified in the Northern Ireland Protocol. Instead, Moving Goods under the Northern Ireland Protocol was published on the gov.uk website in December 2020. On top of this, import and export controls are generally reserved, but the areas of food safety, the protection of human, animal and plant food health, and the environment were devolved to the governments of Wales and Scotland. This may lead to some differences in precise requirements and enforcement bodies. That being said, the UK government is working closely with the devolved administrations to ensure the process maps and diagrams, with examples given in this border operating model, reflect any different requirements in different parts of the UK. And that's nice. Moving on. And Prohibitions and Sanctions, search for page 11. Why are we starting here? Prohibitions and sanctions. Before anything else, traders should ensure that all their activities comply with the rules on prohibitions and sanctions. They should also check if their goods need to follow rules for controlled goods. And we'll get to controlled goods shortly. For now, let's open the links for prohibitions and sanctions, given here on this page. OK, sanctions first. Also, the UK transferred EU sanctions regimes into a new legal framework. And the UK's sanctions framework will take effect from the 1st of January 2021. And you can view this page to see sanctions that are now in force. We see an overview, followed by types of sanctions, trade sanctions, financial sanctions, travel bans, aircraft and shipping sanctions, controlling the movement of aircraft and ships. And this followed by some more detail on each of these areas. Followed by notes on exceptions and licensing. And some emails at the bottom if you need help and more information. And on to prohibitions. Very quickly. Prohibited goods refers to goods that cannot be imported. In some limited cases, there may be derogations or a partial suppression of a law, giving rise to allowances, under strict conditions. And we see. After the introduction, this page has two sections. The first is on EU and UK import licensing controls, other than those of Radio Communications Division. Topics in this section include certain agricultural products, followed by anti-personnel mines, controlled drugs, explosives and more, firearms, fireworks, rabies-susceptible mammals. All this followed by the last section. Prohibitions and restrictions enforced by customs on goods from third countries only. Aflatoxins in some imports of nuts, figs, dried fruits and certain products made from these food items. Used agricultural machinery. And more. Scroll down a bit more. Fish products. Food and drink. Frog's legs. Really looks like all sorts here. And we'll see a lot of these items again when we look at controlled goods. And also SPS controls, featured in videos to follow. I just want to get to the bottom here, where we see enquiry points. And that's nice. Next. The UK is no longer part of the EU. So, whether importing or exporting, traders must also understand requirements of EU member states. Search for page 8, top right. What do the EU member states want? From January 2021. Traders must understand the requirements of EU member states. The necessary processes must have been done, and documentation completed, to comply with these requirements. Further information on what EU member states want is provided in Annex A and B of this document. And we skimmed through these annexes in previous videos. Next. EOI page 16. And we see EU. EOI. If undertaking any EU customs processes, traders will need an EU EOI. And we see more detail about EU EOI numbers can be found in Annex A and B. But also the GB EOI. GB. EOI. Pause to read if you like. From January 2021. Traders will need a GB EOI number to move goods to or from the UK. Check your EOI number. Apply for a new one if yours does not start with GB. I also have an old video you might like on EOI. Anyway. Next. Find out about assistance and facilitations at your disposal. Facilitations can assist with cash flow perhaps, or they may reduce the admin overhead when importing and exporting goods. But right at the start, to make everything much easier, ask yourself, do I want to use a customs intermediary? Good idea for beginners to say yes. In which case, you could apply for help with customs declarations, even before January 2021. So, You can hire somebody to deal with your goods movement. And agents can act indirectly or directly on your behalf. But if you are an exporter established outside of the UK, you have to hire a UK-based agent to act indirectly for you if you are moving goods to the UK. So, agents that act indirectly for you act in their own name. However, this means they are equally responsible for making sure the information is accurate, and also jointly and severally liable for any customs duty or import VAT. On the other hand, if you get someone to act directly for you, they are acting in your name. This means you will be solely liable for keeping records, the accuracy of any information provided on your customs declarations, and any customs duty or import VAT due. But we discuss agents acting directly and indirectly elsewhere. So, moving on. Assistance and facilitations. As well as hiring a customs intermediary, consider also using the Common Transit Convention. Searching for page 22. And scrolling down. Use CTC. And if you use Transit, CTC, you might even think about becoming an authorized consignor or an authorized consignee, as suits your goods movements. Of course, you might personally want to apply for simplified procedures, and if so, you will also need a DDA account, and more on this shortly. You might find temporary storage useful. A customs intermediary can help with that, and with simplified procedures too, if needed. And if you want to find out more, I have some old videos on hiring agents, temporary storage, and on simplified procedures too. But if you would like some background information on the Common Transit Convention right now, click more info. And check out my TWALS Club video. History of Common Transit, squashed. Anyway, jumping to page 17. Bottom right. And next. Decide how to complete customs formalities. Do you want to use standardized trade contracts, Incoterms? We see. You may wish to consider commercial arrangements. Individual commercial contracts and arrangements may alter the default legal responsibilities and requirements. Contractual obligations for international commercial transactions are outlined in the Incoterms rules, which are administered by the International Chamber of Commerce. These are an important consideration for traders when moving goods internationally, and should be considered and understood alongside the information in this document. And I touched on Incoterms in the TWALS Club video on freight forwarders. Okay, moving on. Importing controlled goods, page 138, Annex C. If you are an importer, check which goods are on the controlled goods list. If your imported goods are on the controlled goods list, you will need to complete full customs declarations from January 2021. As from January 2021, traders need to make full customs declarations, or use simplified procedures, if authorized, and follow the new rules, at border control posts and points of entry into the UK, as specified for each type of controlled import. And you can get access to the full list here too. And we looked at this, and introduced controlled goods in the latter stages of the TWALS Club Conventions and Controls video. But be prepared for customs compliance checks either at port or an inland site too. Next. Moving on to market surveillance. Over to page 48, market surveillance. Pause to read if you like. From January 2021, non-food imports from the EU, as well as from outside the EU, will be treated the same by UK market surveillance. The activities carried out by UK market surveillance will now ensure that all non-food imported products, wherever they originate, comply with UK legislation. And we introduced market surveillance, as well as controlled goods and more, in my TWALS Club video, Conventions and Controls. Okay. Back to page 8. Delaying declarations for non-controlled imports. From January 2021, traders importing non-controlled goods, covering everything from clothes to electronics, will need to prepare for basic customs requirements, such as keeping sufficient records of imported goods. And you can choose to complete full customs declarations on import, or you can choose instead to delay your declaration for up to 6 months. While tariffs will be payable where due on relevant goods, tariff payments, for non-controlled imports, can be deferred until the customs declaration has been made. Jumping to guidance. Delaying declarations for EU goods brought into Great Britain. So previously, prior to the 16th of March 2021, the facility for compliant UK importers to optionally delay supplementary declarations for 6 months was to finish at the end of June 2021. But now, as from the 16th of March 2021, we see the UK government, HMRC, have extended this end date to the 31st of December 2021. Hurrah! So, who can delay, and what do they need to delay? Traders with a good compliance record can use simplified procedures such as entry in the declarant's record to import non-controlled goods into the UK and then submit the declaration, the supplementary information, to HMRC up to 175 days later. That's a little under 6 months. As such, you must either be authorized to use simplified procedures such as entry in the declarant's record, or have a UK agent that is authorized and that, acting in their own name, can do this for you. And that's nice. Tell me more about the applicable imports. This applies to imports of union goods. If you import union goods, i.e., goods that were in free circulation within the EU, into England, Scotland and Wales, between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2021, then, provided your imports are not controlled goods, and provided you enter your goods into free circulation within the UK, then you can declare these goods by entering them in your own records without getting authorization in advance. And we discuss free circulation elsewhere. But with regard to delaying supplementary declarations, what happens in 2022? Well, we can't be absolutely sure. The UK government will adapt to circumstances as best fits need. The period to optionally delay supplementary declarations may be extended to 2022. Or from the 1st of January 2022. The facility to delay declarations for up to 6 months may cease. In which case, all traders moving any goods at all, whether non-controlled or controlled, will be making full customs declarations and be paying the relevant tariffs as per the normal UK procedures and guidance. And the normal steps vary depending on the methods used, but that's my guess anyway. As an aside, note that this delay regarding submissions of declarations of non-controlled goods is a different feature to the provisions regarding UK safety and security declarations. And we'll touch on UK safety and security declarations shortly, but, at any time, be prepared for customs compliance checks. Documentary, identity and physical checks, either at port or an inland site. Okay, close. Next. Delaying tariff payments can help with cash flow. So, what do you need to delay tariff payments? A duty deferment account. Jumping to page 17. Top right. And the duty deferment account, DDA. From January 2021. Duty deferment accounts or DDAs will continue to be available. Let's just quickly skim through a couple of pages. Traders who import goods regularly may benefit from having a duty deferment account, DDA. To set up a DDA, traders, or their representatives, apply for a deferment account number, DAN, and will need to be authorized by HMRC, as detailed on gov.uk. New rules are being introduced, which will allow most traders to use duty deferment, without a Customs Comprehensive Guarantee, CCG. And that's nice. A DDA allows holders to spread out repayments of customs duty, excise duty and import duty, in monthly direct debit installments, rather than paying in full, on individual consignments. A duty deferment account is also one of the conditions for authorized use of HMRC simplified declaration systems. So, how can traders delay declarations? Search for page 19. And slowly scrolling these 2 pages. Pause to read as you like. But in brief, by using HMRC simplified declaration systems, such as CSFP. The staged approach, announced by the UK government, allows traders, or their intermediaries, whose computer systems are compatible with HMRC, to make an entry in their own commercial records, at the point of entry of goods into the UK. Later, this must be followed up by a full supplementary declaration, and this must be submitted to HMRC, no later than 6 months from the time of import. The items needed on a supplementary declaration are listed here too. And to reiterate, this facility, delaying the full supplementary declarations, will be available from Jan to December 2021. And we explore CFSP elsewhere in a future video. Let's quickly skim a couple of pages on CSFP. This approach simplifies requirements for the vast majority of imports, and may also help with cash flow for many traders. What are the requirements to apply for simplified declarations? Good question. A good compliance history. Also, traders wanting to use simplified declarations, for the first time, will need to get authorization for this process, as well as a duty deferment account. Look these pages up. And all this prior to the 31st of December 2021, to take advantage of the 6-month delay period. Non-UK traders wanting to use UK simplified procedures for imports, must use a UK established customs agent, with access to these processes, and a UK duty deferment account. VAT on imports, jumping to page 10, scroll down a bit. From January 2021. Traders will also need to consider how they account for and pay VAT on imported goods. EU goods, imported into the UK, will be charged same VAT as equivalent goods imported from outside of the EU. And do pause here if you like. And you can find more information in the UK border model. For more information, also search for page 21. As the VAT payable depends on the value of your goods. You may also find this page useful too. Page 18. And under import preparations, we see the customs value of goods. Needed to make a customs declaration and calculate duties and VAT on an import. Click that. And jumping to notice. Notice 252, valuation of imported goods, for customs purposes, VAT, and trade statistics. And this page is very long. Great. If I was a trader, I would probably get help with this. We see many methods of valuing goods for the purpose of VAT and duties. And that's nice. I may investigate this further, but at some point in the future maybe. Food for thought. Okay. Closing out of here. And next. We'll touch on conventions and national commitments, administered by the UK after the transition period. Page 30. Goods covered by international conventions / commitments. 1.2.2 and scrolling down. Pause as you like. And what do we see? We see international conventions and commitments involving the UK. In this part of the guidance, we see information to help importers conform to the related legislation. And starting from January 2021. These all outline the additional processes, above and beyond the normal steps and procedures, that traders face when importing applicable and related goods into GB. And as from January 2021. The UK will administer these areas, which we see as endangered species of wild fauna and flora, or CITES. Fluorinated greenhouse gas, F-gas, and ozone-depleting substances, ODS. Down a bit. Rough diamonds. And the temporary import of non-perishables, using Atacanaes. And all of these areas. Very interesting. However, apart from Atacanaes, you can find more information on the other items, in Annex C. Back to page 138. This list of controlled goods we already saw, also includes some of those conventions and commitments. Scroll down a bit. The conventions are given amongst other controlled goods here. But are any of these items staged? Nope. And quite right too. Items in Annex C list of controlled goods are excluded from the staged approach at the UK border, and fully take effect from January 2021. What about exports covered by international conventions? Page 99. 4.2.2 Goods covered by international conventions / commitments. Scrolling down. All items in this section too will be fully enforced from January 2021. These are the equivalent rules for UK exporters, and all apply without hiatus, from January 2021. Fab. For a broad and general introduction to legal conventions, and to CITES, plus more. As already mentioned. Check out my TWALS Club video on conventions and controls. And all of these conventions and related processes, for example, CITES processes for wet stamping CITES permits that accompany relevant CITES goods, will, all, be up and running from January 2020. Moving on. Back to page 8. Common Transit Convention, CTC. Traders importing and exporting goods, using the Common Transit Convention, will need to follow all of the transit procedures, as these will not be introduced in stages. Let's jump to page 22. From the 1st of January 2021, traders will be able to move goods in and out of the UK customs territory, under the Common Transit Convention, CTC. Some help for CTC provided here. Guidance. Get your business ready to move goods to the Common or EU countries. Pause to read if you like. Quickly skimming this page. From January 2021. CTC exports. For exports leaving the UK, all EU CTC requirements will apply as normal. In other words, from January 2021 and onwards, EU Office of Transit processes will continue to occur for goods entering the EU. This means that traders will still have to submit exit summary declarations and customs export declarations as normal, as well as pay import duties, for when the goods arrive at their final destinations, etc. etc. So, it makes sense that, when exporting to the EU, using CTC, traders should also ensure they are familiar with the Office of Transit processes, applicable for the territory their goods are entering, jumping to 132. You might also like to look at Annex B, EU import requirements. Getting prepared. Common Transit Convention, CTC, processes, such as UK government offices of departure and offices of destination, used for starting and ending CTC movements, including the issuing of transit accompanying documents, TADs, and facilities for Office of Transit compliance checks, will all be running from January 2021. If you want to find out more about CTC, I introduced the Common Transit Convention, CTC, in the TWALS Club video, History of Common Transit, Squashed. A last point on transit. Back to page 22. Combined Transit and Safety and Security Declarations, TSADs, cannot be used to meet safety and security requirements in GB as of the 1st of January 2021. Page 67. Instead, traders, hauliers and carriers can use other means to submit S&S declarations. Methods such as S&S GB, Chief, CSP systems and third-party software providers can all be used to submit S&S declarations. Speaking of which, on the left of this page, submitting UK S&S declarations. As we see here, UK entry summary declarations are staged. Oops, just a minute. Quickly duplicating tab. And jumping to page 88. Set actual size. Back on 67. And starting again. So, UK entry summary declarations are staged. However, exit summary declarations are not. And prior to the 16th of March 2021, and as we see here, as part of the staging in of controls, safety and security declarations will not be required for goods moving into Great Britain from the EU until after the 30th of June 2021. After that, from the 1st of July 2021, normal safety and security entry summary declaration requirements will apply. But as we saw earlier, jumping back to guidance, delaying declarations for EU goods brought into Great Britain, and scrolling down to the bottom, we see safety and security declarations. Entry summary declarations are not needed in 2021. You can import both controlled and non-controlled goods from the EU without making an entry summary declaration from the 1st of January 2021 to the 31st of December 2021. Both entry and exit summary declarations are also known as safety and security declarations. Let's click that. What do we see? We see guidance, making an entry summary declaration. And just to clarify, if you are moving goods into Great Britain, or into Northern Ireland from Great Britain, or into Northern Ireland from outside the EU, you will need to make an entry summary declaration. However, and as we hinted at earlier, in order to do this, you need to register to use the following. The S&S GB service. This is for bringing goods into Great Britain, England, Scotland and Wales. But also, a second system. The Import Control System, for Northern Ireland, for bringing goods into Northern Ireland. And the links to register given here. And here. But, as we saw earlier, an update. You do not need to make an entry summary declaration from the 1st of January 2021 to the 31st of December 2021 for goods that are imported into Great Britain from the European Union. Or any of these places listed here. And that's nice. When you do submit entry summary declarations, more help here as to when to submit. And if you are using GVMS, the entry summary declaration will need to be submitted at the earliest of either the minimum timing requirement, or before check-in closes. This is to allow for the movement reference number from the entry summary declaration to be recorded in the goods movement reference, which will be validated by the carrier at check-in. Movement reference number. Goods movement reference. GVMS. But what are all these things? Well, you can get more information from here. But also, I have a Tools Club video you might like, called S&S Declarations, Consigners and Consignees, GVMS, and Help for Hauliers. And you can get quick access to this video by clicking More Info up here. So later, why not grab a tea or coffee, some biscuits, a cream bun maybe, and watch that video too. Fab. But below this, we see 2 hours submission deadlines for short straight sea voyages listed here. How to submit and paperwork you need to provide. Let's list these. You need to provide the goods description or commodity code, consignor and consignee, type, amount, and packaging of your goods, mode of transport at the border, onward journey details. After you submit your entry summary declaration, you will be issued with a movement reference number. Scrolling down. What happens next? A risk assessment, carried out on your entry summary declaration. Watch for messages from UK Border Force. And below that, a note on diversion requests, in case your carrier gets diverted. And notes on amending your entry summary declaration, at the bottom. Your declaration must be accurate, but if circumstances dictate, amendments must be made. Then, amendments can only be made up until the point of arrival in the UK. The declarations can be amended but not cancelled. Your amended submission will contain all the data of the original declaration, plus any new amendments made, and these are linked to the first entry. Where goods are no longer to be shipped, it is not necessary to inform the S&S GB service, or Import Control System Northern Ireland. Whichever you are using. And that's fab. Close out of here. On the other hand, from January 2021, Exit summary declarations are not staged, and traders need to submit these, as normal, from January 2021 for goods leaving the UK and bound for the EU. Although often submitted on the same form, but S&S declarations have a separate function and are a separate learning issue to the import and export declarations for goods. And to reiterate, why not watch that Tools Club video called S&S Declarations, Consigners and Consignees, GVMS, and Help for Hauliers? Yes. The video title is too long, sorry. But topics in that video are explored in a little more depth. Which reminds me, I want to say a quick few words on GVMS and hauliers next. Let's close that tab. And GVMS, page 8 again. From January 2021. The Goods Vehicle Movement Service, GVMS, will be introduced from January 2021, but only for transit movements. The UK government intends to allow the Office of Transit process to be completed digitally from January, using the new Goods Vehicle Movement Service, GVMS. Scroll down to page 9. However, from July 2021, the GVMS will be in place for all imports, exports and transit movements, but only at those border locations that have chosen to introduce it. And what about hauliers? Page 15. We see over 45 multi-language motorway side information and advice sites were available from November 2020 to March 2021. The purpose of these sites: to help get hauliers and HGV drivers up to speed with new processes. For example, from January 2021 onwards, for all UK exports heading out to the EU, the hauliers will be obliged to use the check an HGV is ready to cross the border service. And these motorway side information sites were to assist hauliers with this service. This app will ensure HGVs are properly prepared prior to heading out to a port. And this requirement will be enforceable, with spot checks, redirects, and even fines for hauliers in breach. The check an HGV is ready to cross the border service was thoroughly tested during the 2020 transition period. Its release and uptake ensure hauliers and their drivers keep up to date with changing customs requirements, allowing both traffic and trade to flow smoothly. And to reiterate, find out more about UK S&S declarations, GVMS, the Check an HGV app and the Kent Access Permit, plus more safety and security declarations, consigners and consignees, in the Tools Club video called S&S Declarations, Consigners and Consignees, GVMS, and Help for Hauliers. Fab. Next, a second or two on temporary storage, page 25. Temporary storage facilities, not part of an existing inventory-linked community, will need to operate inventory-linked systems from the 1st of July 2021. And we introduced both inventory-linked systems and the temporary storage procedure separately in earlier videos. And that's great. So, finally, in closing, we'll end this video here, once again, on the Imports and Exports General Enquiries page. Great. I would just like to say, I'll be the first to admit there are still many topics not included in my Tools Club videos. But I hope you find these videos useful anyway. Whether for fun, for careers, or studies. My hope is that Tools Club can at least provide you with some insight, or even some sort of head start in any endeavor to better understand customs border controls and procedures. That's nice. But beware. Customs info can change all too swiftly these days. So, consider confirming any details in this, or any other Tools Club video, with sources from gov.uk. It's a good way to learn and to stay up to date. And that's nice too. Anyway, over the next 8 videos, we start our exploration into SPS goods and controls, starting with Introduction to SPS commercial documents, health certificates, import pre-notifications, licenses and pre-authorizations. Another long video title. Sorry. But hopefully see you there. Hurrah!